time tonight.
Usually presidents sitting or former presidents usually do not testify before Congress. This is really unique. It's happened a few times, like Harry Truman in 1955, I think, was the last post-president to do it. Sitting presidents, like Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton. So in America, it's a really big deal to get the president to testify, former or otherwise, before Congress. So in that way, it's really historical to our country. I think the only real kind of revelation we received were some racy pictures. And I say racy because Bill Clinton is in a hot tub. He's just wearing what look like swim trunks with his hands behind his head. But then there's another body whose face is redacted. And if the files are only supposed to redact victims, that implicates could potentially be a victim. But we don't know that because we don't know who's behind it. Ghislaine Maxwell is also in that poll, and she is, of course, the partner, former partner of Epstein, who was locked up in jail for sex trafficking, the same crimes that Epstein had done.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
One reason I think most Americans want President Clinton to answer some questions is because he visited the White House. Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. I've been in Congress 9 years. I think I've been to the White House 9 times in 9 years. Epstein was in the White House double the amount of time that I was under one president.
Jefferson Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just saw.
Sometimes Epstein would be, for example, participate in trips that Clinton would be doing for the foundation. Epstein might help organize those or participate in them. This is where context becomes really important. We don't have a full explanation of this, but this is one of the things Epstein did. Epstein's large fortune, which is still kind of mysterious how he got it, he would use that to get into different doors. And it wasn't just the Clinton Foundation. I mean, we right now are seeing how in academia, right, a lot of researchers desperate for money. Jeffrey Epstein waltzes in and offers research funding. And the next thing you know, you're going to the Caribbean, you're going to his New Mexico ranch, and you're meeting these celebrities. He would do that with all kinds of folks. He relied on his wealth, his intelligence, his connections to kind of bring people into his orbit. So yes, I mean, there's clearly questions. What was Epstein doing with Clinton here? But the Clintons are not abnormal in the giant Epstein story for that relationship.
So I would guess, both from Democrats and Republicans, that we're going to see pretty aggressive questioning, at least of Bill Clinton, about what his relationship was, what he knew, and questions about what he should have known as well during that time. So it's all going to be behind closed doors, or we're not going to know kind of exactly what's happening as it's happening, but I imagine there will be a lot of consulting of attorneys throughout the process, back and forth, particularly with respect to scope. I understand they have agreed upon a scope for the interview, and if questions start to veer outside of that, I imagine the Clintons' counsel will step in and say, we've agreed to be here to talk about this, and now you're sort of going outside the scope of that agreement.
To honor the memory of those we lost and to work as hard as I know. I've would imagine I've thought more about what happened than all of you put together. I've lost more sleep than all of you put together. I have been racking my brain about what more could have been done or should have been done.
She has a ton of experience. She's, did I think it was an 11-hour interview with the Benghazi committee that was, live and nationally televised, and so she's certainly ready. And I think she is a much more removed from what this investigation is, and had a lot of, to me, relatively strong arguments that they didn't really have any need for her particular testimony. So that's part of the reason that you wonder if they're not going to try to open up, at least the Republicans on the committee, open up some past, examples, or try to move into areas that aren't directly related to Epstein with her. I mean,
frankly, but I haven't spoken to him in probably 15 years or more. I wasn't a big fan of Jeffrey Epstein, that I can tell you.
The fact that President Clinton is showing up does set a precedent, right, for when President Trump leaves office. If the investigation is ongoing, or if the Democrats take over, there certainly would now be precedent for at least a former president coming and talking about the details of what he knew and when he knew it. But
I think I have been quite specific, and I think I've been willing to answer some that within that definition, and I testify truthfully to that.
Including during his time in the White House. He admitted to having an affair, which would be a total abuse of power in the eyes of most people in 2026 with Monica Lewinsky. But his approval rating was 73%. The week he got impeached, he left office with about a 70% approval rating. He broke.
Now let's cut to the chase. I am too old to gild the lily.
And that most of the sort of active Democrats, the younger generation of Democrats, are sort of ready to move on and have moved on from the Clintons. So it doesn't seem like it would be enormously beneficial politically to sort of win a victory, whatever that means in this context.